Hey everybody, I'd like to talk about another topic here today, and that topic is quite a popular topic, a somewhat controversial topic, and it is with regard to intermittent fasting. Very popular phenomenon that's been around for a few years at least, and I'd like to discuss its effect on whether or not intermittent fasting can allow an individual to stay leaner versus not intermittent fasting. Okay, so first I'll discuss if you're dieting, if you're cutting. Alright, if you're cutting, I don't believe that intermittent fasting or meal timing in general would have any factor whatsoever with regard to losing body fat or storing body fat, because when you're cutting, your glycogen slash ketone tank and ATP tank, which is situated in your muscle and your liver, those tanks are already depleted close to the halfway point when you're in a cut, because each and every day you have a set amount of calories, and essentially when you're cutting you're losing fat, so you're already going to be depleted with regard to energy reserves as far as glycogen and ketones and ATP and whatnot. Now, so with regard to that, you're probably not going to be, no matter what you eat, it's probably not going to fill up your tank all the way. So your glycogen and your ketone tank, and it's definitely not going to fill up your ATP tank, because that ATP you need to sleep to restock that. That's some super high powered glycogen right there. So we're not even going to talk about ATP. But anyways, meal timing doesn't really matter if you're cutting. You could eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch, lunch, dinner, supper, la supper, all that stuff. And as long as and I don't see how you're going to do all those meals when you're on a calorie restricted diet anyways, but meal timing essentially does not matter when you're cutting. So unless there's some weird oddball case to where you go anaconda style in one meal and you're like, I don't know, having a refeed there could be an oddball case, all right? But for the most part, intermittent fasting, meal timing doesn't matter when you're cutting with regard to storing fat or losing fat. Now, when you is bulking, okay, you've got your tank, your glycogen and ketone tank, which also houses the ATP, and these are fixated in your muscles and in your liver. Now, let's say, for example, you wake up in the morning, let's say you wake up in the morning when you're bulking, your ATP stocked up, your glycogen stocked up, your ketones are stocked up, everything's stocked up because you just had a big meal before you went to bed, and you're full up from the day before because you're bulking. But anyways, you say, all right, I'm gonna have a big breakfast. So you eat yourself a big breakfast, okay? Now that's okay, as long as you don't eat until you're full, okay? But if you're intuitively eating until you're full, or even past being full, and if you're intuitively eating, you can articulate it and calculate it to where you don't really fill up the tank that much. But essentially what I'm getting at is, when you eat until you're full for that meal, it's going to spill over, because, let's say, okay, so for that breakfast, let's say you ate until you were full intuitively, right? So a little, your glycogen tank and your ketone tank, your tanks are filled up, okay? So what happens is let me use an analogy. It's kind of like when you're filling your gas tank at the gas station and your gas tank is full and you try to fill it up more, the gas is going to spill out on the ground, okay? So what happens in your body when you fill up your tank in your body, that extra gas is not going to spill out, being calories. It's going to spill over, but it's not going to hit the ground. It's going to stay in your body, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to be stored as fat. So what I'm saying here is, if you eat breakfast and then you go work out, and then you have brunch, and then you have lunch, and then you have dinner, and then you have suplinner and le supper, and then dinner, and then after dinner, and then midnight snack. What you're doing each time you do that, if provided you're eating until you're full, you're gonna spill over just a little bit each time. So what you're doing, the more meals you have throughout the day, you have that many more opportunities to spill over your tank. And each time you spill over your tank just a little bit, that likely gets stored as fats. So you're having more times that you can store fat. As opposed to if you were intermittent fasting and only ate 2 meals a day, you could eat till you're full intuitively and still spill over a little bit of fat, just a little tiny bit, because intuitive eating is not always an exact science. I mean, you could eat a little bit more accidentally, a little bit less, and your body says, okay, we're full. But with those two meals that you eat in a day, there's less times for you to store fat, meaning you know, your body's gonna spill over a little bit just twice, as opposed to 6 or 7 times a day if you're eating 6 or 7 meals a day. Now let's take a look at another situation here. You can eat however many meals a day you want. You could eat 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 meals a day if you want to. And when you eat those meals, you just don't eat until you're full. You know what I'm saying? If you don't eat until you're full all the way, maybe almost full, nothing's gonna spill over. You know what I'm saying? Nothing's gonna spill over. You know? And you're gonna be all right. And you could stay leaner when you're bulking like that. But if you eat until you're full, or past full, or intuitively full, all right, if you're intuitively full, a little bit of fat's gonna spill out for each meal. If you're not intuitively full, just a little bit before you're intuitively full, probably no fat's gonna spill over. You're not gonna store any fat. But if you eat until you're intuitively full, a little bit of fat's gonna spill over and stores, a little bit of calories are gonna spill over your tank and store as fat. You know what I'm saying? And then, now let's say you eat until you're past intuitively full and you just keep eating because you're crazy. Well, then a lot of fat's gonna be stored. And let's say you eat some high sodium foods and eat that shit after you're full. Well, then a lot more fat's gonna be stored as fat. That's called dirty bulking right there. Because when you dirty bulking, you tend to eat a lot of high sodium foods and stuff, you know? And that's a topic for another video. You know what I'm saying? What else did I want to cover? Oh, and with regard to can you lean bulk and not gain any fat? I don't think so. There's some reason that I don't understand yet that you just gain fat on a lean bulk. Maybe it's because of what I was discussing. A lot of people tend to intuitively eat. Maybe a lot of people, every once in a while you'll eat till you're full for 1 or 2 meals throughout the day, and maybe every time you eat till you're full, a little bit of fat spills over, you know? Maybe that's why you gain fat on a lean bulk. I don't know. Maybe, and then I wonder why guys like Michael Phelps, they don't get fat when they're intuitively eating. He intuitively eats all he wants and he doesn't gain any fat. And of course he burns through tons of calories. So maybe his caloric expenditure outpaces his body's ability to digest and store nutrients. So maybe he's in constant recomp mode. You know what I'm saying? So maybe if you do a lot of cardio and lean bulk, you can gain muscle and no fat. That's a possibility. I don't know. And I hope I covered everything. Alright, y'all have a good one, okay? Bye-bye.